right. So what can people do if they've had so many accidents that now their insurance is beginning to go up? Prices just shooting through the roof now.
Yeah. So I always tell people, think about why you have the insurance and what our goal is as a company. We want to protect you in the event that you do have an accident of some sort.
Right.
But we don't want to keep protecting you when you keep running over everything.
Right.
So then you will see increases in your price. And people often ask me, well, why did it go up so much, or
Right.
what's going on here? So what I always tell them, you should not have the same rate as Amy, who's never had any tickets or accidents, and she's been driving for the last 20 years. She's been insured with us for the last 15.
Right.
You've been insured with us 3 months and you've had 3 accidents.
Right.
Your rate is going to be impacted. But what you can do to kind of mitigate that cost, increase your deductibles, and you may have opportunities to take driver courses, a defensive driving course or something like that to kind of mitigate the cost of what you're paying. But by and large, you are going to be impacted for a little period of time, mainly about 3 years for any accident where you are at fault.
Well, you're at fault. Okay.
Yes.
So if it's not my fault, then there shouldn't be any impact to my coverage, the cost of my coverage.
Absolutely, because there's nothing that we are charging you with. We
Okay.
are saying, Janai was driving safely. She just happened to be in an accident. The driver happened to be uninsured.
Okay.
That was not her fault.
It's not her fault.
She selected coverage to protect her in that event, so now we're not going to hurt her for that.
Okay. Same thing. So if the tree falls on my car, hail damage, should I expect my premiums to go up in that situation?
No. So what we're saying in that case is a tree fell on her car.
Right.
It fell on her car because there was a storm.
An
She
act
didn't
of-
do anything.
right.
That was an act of God.
Okay.
So we're not holding you responsible for that. And the same thing with hail damage. Also, we're not going to hold you responsible because somebody stole your car. You
Okay.
didn't do anything for
Right.
somebody to steal your car.
Okay.
They took something that belongs to you. You have coverage for that, and then we're going to make sure that we take care of your claim.
Okay. Now that makes sense. So what can people do if their car insurance provider sends out that letter that says, we're going to have to get rid of you?
So now it's time to start shopping.
Okay.
Most likely, your rates are going to be significantly higher than what you're used to paying.
Okay.
But that is because of a series of events that have occurred under that insurance policy that warrant you to have to start looking. And they're taking you away from your standard insurance company at that point.
So give me some examples, because I'm sure this has happened in your 32 years of business where you've had to say goodbye to some people.
Yes.
But give us some examples of what situations where, they now are kicked off of their State Farm policy.
Absolutely. So say, for instance, somebody had 2 at-fault accidents in a 3-year period and 2 speeding tickets. Now, what we're looking at then at that point is you've had these bad accidents and you're also speeding. So now we're going to give you a break from us. We're going to send you away to somebody else for a little while. Or somebody that just had a series of bad tickets, maybe a super speeder ticket, and then a reckless driving ticket, and then failure to stop at a stop sign. All those are signals to us that you are in an accident pretty much waiting to happen where you've not used reasonable care in using your vehicle. So we're saying we're going to bow away from you at this point. Or somebody's driving on a suspended license. We would send them away for those reasons because that's a major violation and you should not be driving anyway. So in those situations, what you then have to do is search out for insurance under a non-traditional market. And when I say non-traditional, it's generally somebody that's not your big insurance company, not State Farm, not Allstate, not Nationwide. You've got to get coverage where they are willing to take on the risk of your driving.
Are those companies similar to like the General that tend to be more of that B market, C market?
They can be the General.
Okay.
They can be what we call the fair market plan. And that's when nobody else will insure you. And you've got to get insurance somewhere. You still have a license. You still have a car. And you still need to get back and forth to work. So those insurance rates are nothing to smile at all.
I'm sure.
You will know why you are with that assigned risk company and why you are paying so much when you look at your driving record.
Right. Can you, on average, I know it depends upon what the issue or the infringement was, but you're talking about people who are probably paying $500, $600, $700 a month easy?
Easy.
Right.
Very easily.
Okay.
Because what they're saying at that point is if you want to keep driving, you are going to pay for the risk that we are taking on. Yeah, I had a younger driver, and he said, Miss Carol, I just cannot afford to pay $645 for insurance.
Right.
It was $645 and some change, but
Right.
his car insurance per month was more than his car payment.
Right. Right.
But his
Which is
driving
crazy.
record reflected
Was why it was $645
absolutely,
a month. Right.
absolutely. Which goes back to why so many people will then try to take the risk of driving uninsured, which is then why I tell people all the time, you need uninsured motorists or underinsured because you never know what life events have driven somebody else to drive uninsured.
Right. Because they simply probably can't afford the policy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. So now what advice do you have for parents who have teen drivers who've recently been in an accident?
Let's review and see what happened with the accident. Most of the drivers are inexperienced, first of all. So maybe they could not judge properly of when to come to a complete stop, or they misjudged for making a left turn.
Okay.
So first of all, kind of talk to them about the accident situation. But what you want to know beforehand, before that driver even gets his license, is what impact overall can they have to your insurance anyways. So if they have an accident, what happens to my insurance?
Right.
If they have an accident, will they be able to continue to drive? So after an accident, especially with a teen driver, and if it's a minor fender bender, I don't want to discourage that young driver from ever getting behind the wheel again.
Right.
But I want them to understand the impact of what has occurred. You know, were you texting? Were you distracted?
Right.
Did you have the radio up too loud? Did you not hear the other car honking the horn? Those types of things.
Okay.
So generally, most of the times, that first accident can be really, really minor. It's enough to just scare the driver altogether.
Right.
But it is incumbent upon that parent to have a good conversation about what the next steps would be from an insurance perspective. Will our rates change?
Right.
9 times out of 10, yes, they
They're
are.
going to go up, right?
Yes. Do you also have a speeding ticket or a failure to yield ticket that's associated with that? Or did you have some other violations that would either render this whole family uninsurable at this point, or does
right.
it just affect that one driver?
Person. Okay. Well, what I hear you saying, and it's something that I don't think I ever thought about, is asking your insurance agent before, if my child gets in an accident, if they get a super speeder ticket or a failure to yield or any of these, what impact does it have on them, and ultimately what impact does it have on me?
Absolutely. What I've been doing lately is saying, let's imagine the accident has already happened.
Okay.
What did you hit?
Right.
Why did you hit it? Then how much do you want me to pay
Right.
to help you out of that situation?
Okay.
So then they are able to back into it. Who was driving? It was my 16-year-old son. What was he doing? He was riding the car with 3 of his friends. You know, just think of the worst thing that could possibly happen,
Right.
and then back your way into how we package your insurance. And then that has helped a lot of them decide what kind of car to buy,
Right.
what kind of coverage to put on that car,
Okay.
and then what rules they set as a family for that kid driving the vehicle.
Gotcha. No, that definitely makes sense. So, going to transition you a little bit again.
Okay.
So, what mistakes do you see people make after they've had an accident? What's like textbook over and over again?
Not calling the police and admitting fault. I see that over and over again, and especially,
I wouldn't have thought about that.
yeah, you know, it's that first thing, because when you hit somebody, naturally, I'm sorry. I didn't see you.
Right.
Yeah, but I didn't see you because you ran the traffic light. So you don't want to admit you're not sorry
Right.
so much the fact that
Right.
they hit you.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you don't admit fault. And that's another reason why it's so important to call the police. Let the officer determine who's at fault based on statements from each driver,
Okay.
based on witness situations, based on the scene.
Right.
They are experts in looking at how damage could have possibly occurred. So
They do it all the time.
they do it all the time.
Right.
So just because you hit somebody does not mean that they didn't turn left in front of you, causing the accident. You may have very well had the right of way. They turned in front of you, and then that caused the impact. They didn't yield to you. So I always tell people, let the officers determine
Who's at fault?
who's at fault.
Right.
And then we, as claims adjusters and insurance experts, as agents, can then say, okay, we're going to look at the police report, but we're going to also listen to the statements to see
Right.
if maybe you were not at fault. Maybe you did use reasonable care in going through that intersection. So
So what I hear you saying is, just state the facts as they happened. You're not owning what you did or did not do, but that's it. And don't get ahead of yourself with giving up too much information
Absolutely.
or taking responsibility for the accident.
Absolutely. It's okay to say, hey, Janai, are you okay?
Right.
But that's it.
Right.
You know, we're both okay. We'll wait on the officer.
Right.
And you can say, I'm sorry this happened, not
Right.
that I'm sorry that I hit you, because
Right.
you want to make sure that all the facts are given to the officer and let them do the investigation, and then we will follow up from there with what we think is necessary.
Understood. Okay. So I know I asked you this a little bit previously, but I'm going to ask you just a little differently.
Okay.
So assume you've got a client that was in an accident. It literally just happened, and they're calling, and they're like, Carol, I have like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
What would you tell them? Because you know you got them on the phone for just a second. Like, what is your 1, 2, 3, 4? Like,
Absolutely.
real quick.
Did you call the police? Is everybody okay? Can you get pictures? And I'm done.
Then you're done. Okay.
Then I can tell them, after you've settled everything with the officer, after you're able to move your car and all that stuff, give me a call back. We can talk through it. I can tell you what your next steps are from there. And that could be anything from, yes, we need to get you to file a claim with State Farm. It sounds like this may be your fault.
Okay.
Or once you get a copy of the police report, let's get you over to ABC Insurance Company so that you can file a report with them and then move forward from there. And there may be a situation where I may say, well, you told me that you bumped your head pretty good.
Right.
Let's go ahead and get your claim filed because you do have medical protection with us. So we could at least get that part started. Anything else, we can move over to the insurance company that's at fault. But just having somebody to know what to do when the accident happens, because it's unnerving.
Right, for sure.
This is what I hear every day. This is not what happens to my client every day.
Right.
So again, let's call the police report. Are you okay? Can you get some pictures? Are you in a safe area? And you've pretty much covered the bases from there.
Nice. What you just made me think about is calling that 1-800 claims number, that claims line. And that is actually a recorded line. Yes. What do people need to know when they're calling the claim number of their own insurance company?
Yeah. So you want to just give them, again, just the facts about what happened. I was in an accident. It happened this day at this time. I did call the police. I have a police case number.
Okay.
My car is drivable. My car is not drivable. My car was towed to ABC Tow Yard or what have you. Give them all the facts, just the facts of the accident. Not, I don't think the girl had any insurance.
Right.
She seemed like she was texting. If you don't know those things to be true, just give the facts of what you do know.
Okay.
And then let us do the investigation from there.
Okay. And then my last question in this section is, I think a lot of times people are afraid to call their own insurance company. They treat it almost like it's the IRS, that,
Right.
that they're not on their team.
Yeah.
So people who are afraid to call the claims number, if they're afraid to call their agent, what advice do you have for them?
That's the last people that you should not be afraid of your insurance company at all.
Okay.
Because you've purchased a contract from me. I've given you a promise that if these things happen,
Okay.
we're going to take care of you. So you definitely want to call your insurance company. Don't delay and say, I'm just going to wait to see if the other person calls. No, because then it looks like you're hiding from us.
Okay.
Go ahead, call us.
Okay.
We will tell you what steps to take next. Or we will tell you there's nothing for you to do. Or these are the things that you need to do. So call us right away. Don't delay. And as a matter of fact, it's one of the big parts in your insurance contract. Notify your agent or your company
When
about the
something
loss.
happens.
Yes,
Okay.
about whatever it is.
Okay, got it. All right, here's the big one. So if you've been in an accident, when is it time to call an attorney? Assuming you're the one who caused the accident.
So say, for instance, when we packaged your insurance contract, you said, I just want the minimum of everything. I don't want to do anything else, and you cause a serious accident. We as a company, we've done everything that we can for you, and it's still not enough to take care of the other person. You may be in a situation then where you need to call an attorney because we would have exhausted everything we can do on our behalf. We've covered you and we've paid as much as we can pay on a claim. Anything lingering out there, you may need some assistance from an attorney that you've selected at that point.
Okay, so what I think I hear you saying is I had the basic limits. I got in an accident. The accident that I created costs more than what my insurance covers, there's a gap in the
Yes.
middle, and the people who I hit are looking for more money.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I'm saying to you, there's nothing else I can do at this point. I'm out of it.
Okay.
You may need to get some
get
other
some
help. Yes.
And so then that must apply from the other vantage point. If I'm the person who was hit, and then I was waiting for your insurance company to pay me, they did, but it's not enough to cover all of my damages.
Absolutely.
So if I'm looking to be made whole, because your insurance didn't make me whole, it sounds like at that time I probably need to contact an attorney then.
Yeah, because the insurance companies would have done everything that they can do in your contract or your promise.
Okay.
We gave you exactly what you wanted, but it's still not enough
It's not
from where
enough.
you are. And
Okay.
so you may need additional help that we as an insurance company just cannot give you at that time.
Because it's beyond the limits
It's
of what
beyond the limits of
coverage
what you,
limits.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Anything else you think that we need to help our Thank Me Later family know about if they're in a car accident?
Absolutely. Just always try to remain calm.
Okay.
Again, jot down notes, take pictures. The one thing I can say about technology, especially where insurance is concerned, is you have every opportunity to save the information or to provide information that could be helpful in protecting you.
Right.
So you just want to stay calm, make sure that you call the police, exchange information if you feel like it's safe.
Okay.
And then from there, have a good conversation with your insurance company. See how it's going to affect you. Ask them questions about what will happen with your rates. And if there's anything that you can do to keep that price from increasing.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, thank you, Carol.
You are welcome.
I hope we've navigated people through this whole real life car accident situation.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yep. So if people want to get in contact with you, how can they reach out to you?
They can reach out to me by going to my website, which is www.cjonesinsurance.com, and I'll respond right away.
Well, Carol, thank you so much for being here, and thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Thank Me Later Real Life. I'm Janai Thornton. Please follow me at TML Money. And also at Janai Thornton. That's JINITHORNTON. That's both on Facebook and Instagram. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Great.